Okay, I think we're safe to start, Laura, if you
Yeah,
want to
we're good.
go ahead.
Okay, lovely. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Laura. I'm joined today by the lovely Mel,
Hello.
and we're going to go through today your guide to Liverpool. So basically everything you need to know about the city and how to really get the most out of it as a student. So a little bit about myself. I am from Liverpool. I've lived here my whole life. So I've got a real inside knowledge of the city. And Mel, if you just want to introduce how you know Liverpool.
So I moved to Liverpool 6 years ago this September. So I'm from, if anyone here is from Northern Ireland, I'm from a really small town called Bangor. So that literally has 2 streets and one pub and a post office. So if you know Bangor, if you know any smaller towns, coming to Liverpool was a huge shift. And I'll talk about my experience more as the presentation goes on. But yeah, so I suppose Laura's like the grew up in the city type of student, and I'm the little rural town kid that's come and explored it. So yeah.
Lovely. Okay, so today, if it'll let me go forward. Yeah, so we're going to talk about today Liverpool as a student city. So what makes Liverpool so suitable for students? So first, housing. Lots of students, when they move here, of course, will live on campus, but there's lots of different student areas around the city where you can live in your second and third year. There's also lots of activities, nightlife, nature and culture. So they're the things that we're really going to go into today and discuss and help you get the most out of what you want. So here you'll find a little map. This kind of highlights a couple of things you might see throughout the presentation. And then later on you can go back and kind of mark them off when you come and see which ones you want to visit. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the city centre. This is the first thing you kind of think of when you come to Liverpool. It's the first kind of thing you'll see. So first we'll talk about Liverpool One. So Liverpool One is the largest open air shopping centre. It's where all the main shops are. It's where I do most of my shopping. I'm not really an online shopper at all. I like to go. So we've got 170 stores. My personal favourite's Kenji. Basically just it's like a small Japanese store. But they do the cutest toys and snacks, and I basically spend half of my wages in there. So there's lots of different things, lots of fashion shops, makeup, Harvey Nichols, kind of anything you'd really need shopping wise. But there's also Chavez Park, so that's attached to Liverpool One. So they're like that's got all your food stalls, Wagamama, Five Guys, Nando's. It's also got a 14-screen Odeon cinema. So I went seeing The Heights last week at Odeon. Really nice to just kind of get to know people, like people when you first meet your flatmates. The cinema is a good one to go to. But yeah, and then also in Liverpool One, there's 2 large hotels. So there's the Hilton and there's also the Novotel. They're both attached to Liverpool One. They're really nice, luxurious hotels. So if you've got friends and family visiting and you want to like make it seem a bit fancy, then they can definitely stay there. Liverpool One, you'll find that you'll spend a lot of your time there because I basically live there. It's nice because you've got everything you really need. Apart from say Primark is like 5 minutes down the road, but pretty much most of the shops and restaurants in town are based in Liverpool One, which is lovely. So then from Liverpool One, we go on to the Baltic Triangle. So the Baltic Triangle is about a 5-minute walk from Liverpool One. It used to be an industrial area. So my grandma grew up there. Every time she goes past, she says, when I was here, there was only 2 shops and a garage, which basically there was. Now it's been renovated into like an alternative hub. So lots of different indie businesses have taken over the space, originally because the rent was cheaper. But now it's turned into like a really nice collaborative area. There's lots of different independent businesses, lots of different restaurants. It's something that's kind of a bit outside of the mainstream. If your Liverpool One's got your chain restaurants, your chain stores, Baltic Triangle's got more of your indie vendors, which is lovely. So within the Baltic Triangle, there is Camp and Furnace, which was originally famous for the bingo. I've forgotten the name of it now. Bongo's Bingo.
Yeah.
Bongo's Bingo. And they also do lovely food. There's also Hangar 34, which is a venue. So they put on like rock shows, different types of music events, and also a lot of drag shows, like RuPaul's Drag Race tour and shows. A lot of them go in Hangar 34. And there's also a graffitied skate park, which adds a really nice feel to the place. Also, probably the most famous thing in the Baltic Triangle is the Baltic Market. So in the Baltic Market, from Thursday to Sunday, they have like different like restaurants have like their own little stall, and it changes every so often. That's my go-to food place, because I'm one of those people. I want what everyone else is having. So if I get something, I'm like, oh, can I try that? Can I try that? But it's great there because you can have like an Indian starter, but like a Korean main, which is lovely. So they have lots of different independent businesses. Midnight Delivery, Love Kimchi. They're two of my favorites. The best Korean fried chicken you'll get in Liverpool ever. So that's really worth a visit. That is based out of the old Keynes Brewery. So it used to be a working brewery, and now it's a really nice warehousey feel. But it's a nice space. Kind of anything you could think of is in the Baltic Market. Really, there's also Ghetto Golf, which is like an independent mini golf. But each stop has a different bar, which is really really fun. What else is in the Baltic? There's also Peaky Blinders bar. So if you're kind of into Peaky Blinders and you want to kind of feel like you've been transported back in time, that's a good one to go to as well. And then from the Baltic Triangle, we have Concert Square. So you've had your daytime, your shopping, your bars, and Liverpool One. You've then gone through to the Baltic Market, a bit more day to night, and now we're fully in Concert Square, which is nightlife. So Concert Square is kind of your main port for going out. A lot of people you'll find just call it town. They won't really say, oh, I'm going to Seal Street, I'm going to Concert Square. It'll be, I'm going to town. And then to kind of differentiate between town shopping and town out, it's either town or town. So this is town. In Concert Square, you'll find a lot of popular nightclubs, bars. So Macauley's, Modo, Soho, kind of your more chainy bars. Very cheap for students, a lot of kind of freshest deals, really nice nights out. The great thing about Concert Square is that kind of everything's in the one place. So you don't have to walk 10 minutes to go from one bar to another, which is really good because you kind of hop out of one and hop into another. So in Concert Square, there's also shisha pipes outside Modo and Soho. So really nice to kind of talk to your mates, but in like a more relaxed, chilled setting. So yeah, gets very busy on Thursday, which is student night. And then that leads on to, from Concert Square, you've also got Seal Street and Wood Street. So they've got bars like Largo, which is my absolute favourite place to go to, which is just basically, it looks kind of like a dive bar. It's just a bar and a room. But there's some of the best nights I've been in Largo. There's also your Wetherspoons, some karaoke bars, different kind of things popped around. But Concert Square really is your main port of call. And I can imagine a lot of you, when you first come, are going to be spending a lot of time there. But it is great to get to know people. You're never really bored. There's always something for someone. So yeah, I think now, culture and arts. So outside of like you've had your main days and nights, culture and arts, I'm going to talk about kind of what makes Liverpool cultural, if you want to feel a little bit more fancy about yourself. So the city's got the second highest number of art galleries, museums, listed buildings and parks in the UK. So London's the only rival to it, which is, it's really great because you're never gonna not have somewhere to explore. I love the museum, the City of Liverpool Museum and the Natural History. They're both great. You'd think it would be something you kind of grow out of, but as soon as I like get to the aquarium in the National Museum, I can spend my whole day there. So we were the 2008 Capital of Culture. So in 2008, we got that kind of bestowed on the city. And that was really good because lots of money was kind of fed into the city. You got lots of arts, lots of theatre, sports, all of that kind of flourished from there. So we've got lots of different art spaces. So we've got the Empire Theatre, which is your main theatre in the city. So they put on lots of touring performances, lots of musicals. And then there is the Philharmonic, which is our Philharmonic Orchestra. They're based in there. And then more less traditional venues. We've got the Auto Academy, So they're like concerts, and Manford Hall, which is next to Liverpool Uni, they put on lots of different concerts, different touring bands. So there's kind of any type of music, any kind of like passions you've got. That's you'll be able to find somewhere that kind of has your music. We're a very, very musical city. It wouldn't be a presentation about Liverpool without me mentioning the Beatles. That's kind of something we're really proud of. But that means that we're a really musical city. There's loads of bands, always something going on. So yeah, any kind of cultural and arts things, you're not gonna be lost for them. So I'm gonna hand over to the lovely Mel, who's gonna talk more about the different areas of Liverpool outside of town.
Thank you. I'm so glad we have Laura because she's obviously so local and knows Liverpool more than I would. Even I was reminiscing there about Concert Square and town. So you're all in for such a treat whenever you do come and do experience the nightlife in general in Liverpool. But Aigburth is just outside of the city centre. So I'm not too sure if any of you guys have your accommodation yet, but we do have our Aigburth Park campus, which is right in the heart of Aigburth, right beside all the places I'm going to talk about. And the first place we're talking about is Lark Lane. So Lark Lane is right beside Sefton Park. So it's just right behind it. There's just like a big park gate, and Lark Lane is my absolute favourite place in the whole of Liverpool. I've lived in Aigburth now since I was a student. I've lived in student halls and 2 different apartments as an adult, and I'm right beside Lark Lane. And it's essentially like a little street full of loads of bohemian shops. It's got vintage clothing, it's got artwork and homeware. The food on Lark Lane is amazing. So quite similar to the Baltic Market, actually. There's a few restaurants that have come from the Baltic Market and got so popular from there. They've actually got a space in Lark Lane. One of them is called Hafla Hafla, and they do the best halloumi fries. I've actually never had better halloumi fries than in Hafla Hafla. There's pubs in Lark Lane. There's vegan food, veggie food. There's bakeries, and it's really lovely as well. If you live in St Michael's, or it used to be called St Michael's anyway, that's the area where our Aigburth Park campus is, you're quite literally a 10-minute walk away from Lark Lane. So if you want just a quick night out, or if you want to go to the pub or a coffee shop to work, you can do so there. And like I say, it's got loads of cute homeware shops, and it's got a very bohemian feel. So if you want to decorate your room in a certain way, or you just want to get a few little keepsakes, you can have a little look there. And it's also a great place to bring your family to. So I'll leave that to you to go have a wee look at. There's a really rich history as well behind Lark Lane, going way back into the 1800s, of some of the shops that were there now. Like one of the old barber shops is still there. It's still a barber's. It's just been passed down for generations. So that's really really like historically interesting as well. And then right behind Lark Lane, we'll go over to Sefton Park again. So Sefton Park is essentially what it is. It's a massive park. It's 200 acres of land. It's got a cafe, an ice cream shop, and obviously a beautiful lake. For anyone who's training for a marathon, if you fancy doing the London Marathon, I think it's like 12 laps of the park. So I'm training for the Liverpool Marathon at the minute, so living by the park is really handy. And even when I was a student living in Aigburth Park campus, it was a really nice place just to get your exercise in, especially on a Sunday morning. Maybe if you're feeling worse for wear, you can go for a walk around the duck pond, get yourself a coffee and just enjoy the fresh air. And it really doesn't feel like you're in such a busy city in Sefton Park. It's just got such a lovely like feel to it. There's so much nature, so much wildlife as well. Not only that, it's home to some of our amazing musical festivals throughout the year. So previously we've had the Liverpool International Music Festival, Fusion Festival, Cream Classical, which is amazing for anyone who loves their classic old school sort of rave festivals. And then we have African Oye, and we did have the Liverpool International Food Festival as well. So there's always loads going on. And if you're lucky and you get in time, there's often like student tickets and some discounted tickets, VIP ones. What's also cool, if you live in the area anyway and you don't get a chance to get a ticket or you can't make it, you can just hear it. I remember hearing some amazing bands being played from my student halls. And I remember just thinking like, oh, I didn't get a ticket in time, but I can still hear it. It's cool. And even walking past and seeing it set up. They also filmed some of Peaky Blinders around here recently. So my whole street was cordoned off. I didn't see Cillian Murphy, but I think he was there because there was a very fancy trailer. So it's good to know that you're very much like embedded in this lovely little area of Liverpool, and it's still not too far from the city centre. And right beside Sefton Park, or not I suppose right beside, if you walk down Lark Lane and you go through to Otterspool Promenade. So this comes out of a place called Festival Gardens. So you walk through there first and then you get to the lovely promenade. So like I say again, you wouldn't feel like you're in a busy city here. So Festival Gardens is a really lovely tranquil space. It's got oriental gardens, pagodas, it's got a lake, it's got waterways and waterfalls there, and it's just really peaceful. I've been to like a few outdoor exercise and yoga classes there. I'm a bit of a yogi anyway, living in Egworth. It's quite, like I say, bohemian, but it's really fun, and it's a good place to bring your friends as well, or if you have any visitors. And then Otterspool itself, again, it's a really beautiful walk. You can walk all the way to the city from it, or you can stay in the parkland of Egworth. But it's just good to know you've got some nature around you too. And again, if you're running or if you're into exercise or anything, this is a really good spot to do a nice coastal run. And then talking of the coast, we'll go on down for the coast to Crosby Beach. So Crosby Beach is part of the Merseyside coastline. It's north of Liverpool in a borough called Sefton. It's just a really big, beautiful beach, but it's got like sand dunes and it looks gorgeous at sunset. And if any of you drive, you can drive on down. There's like loads of chip shops nearby, just if you want the classic fish and chips on the beach. If you want to bring a wee picnic in the summer. There's also the train from St. Michael's. So if you're living in Egworth Park accommodation, you've already got the 6-minute train to the city centre, but the train to Crosby is around 15-20 minutes or so. So that's really good if you just fancy a day out. It's permanent home to what's called Another Place, which is a sculpture by Anthony Gormley, who's a really famous artist, and he chose Crosby Beach as his installation setting. So as you're walking along the beach, you see all these Iron Men, and it's like tradition to get a picture of them, especially when you're a student. Like, I don't know about you, Laura, I definitely have a picture with the Iron Man. So,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
like
can
the
like,
first thing you do.
yeah, you like sit on their shoulder. You shouldn't really sit on their shoulders, but people do. And they'll like bring their dogs and stuff and get like a wee picture, but it's really cool. And it's just another example, like Laura said earlier, of the arts in Liverpool and just how culturally rich we are. And there's just random bits of art everywhere. We also use the beach, the art installation in some of our course content. So for art and design history, they go down here. For design, they go down here and look for sculptures that inspire them for their own work. We did a dance and drama project and performance down here as well. So it just goes to show we don't just rely on the city centre, we do go outside of it as well. So I hope that sums up the surrounding areas nicely for you.
Lovely. So that has been kind of the main city centre and then the outskirts. So we've covered quite a lot of things. Couple more things to note. We have 2 cathedrals. So you can see that just in the top right here. So our 2 cathedrals, we have the Anglican and the Catholic, also known as the Wigwam. Still not quite sure why it's called a wigwam, but it is. So they're both there, very nice to visit. We also have the 2 football clubs, so Liverpool and Everton. I'm not a massive football fan myself, but you can't really go, again, 2 feet without somebody mentioning either football team. So if you can get a ticket there, go see the football, really fun. And then the Albert Dock. So down there you've got the library buildings, lots of different ice cream shops, restaurants. That's also a really nice day out. Okay, so yeah, again, if you've got any questions, just pop them in chat and we'll see if we can discuss them.
And if you've anything that maybe you're not thinking of asking now, but it pops into your head later, we've got our Instagram and Twitter there. And we've got the DMs on them. We can answer you anytime between 9 and 5, Monday to Friday. Then we also have our inquiry line. If you email that at any time, we'll answer it 9 to 5, Monday to Friday too. You could chat to Laura or I over there as well.